Have you ever had this question? Hi everyone, I'm just coming back to Runescape after X years and I was wondering what are the major updates I need to know. My stats are insert link here. What should I be doing right now? Well, if you have, I've got the video for you. Keep watching because I am going to share with you guys what I think are the essential things you need to know when coming back to Runescape after a long hiatus. So, what has changed? Combat. So combat has changed a lot from back in the day. Usually back then we would just try and use auto attacks and just beat your opponent to death with autos, but now you can also use abilities in addition to auto attacks. So there are three types of abilities: basic abilities, threshold abilities, and ultimate abilities. Basic abilities are just your normal basic vanilla abilities that you can use. They don't require anything. You can just click on them and they do more damage, or they do AoE. And yeah, so every basic ability you use will gain adrenaline, and at 100% adrenaline, that's when you have max adrenaline. But at 50% adrenaline, when you build up to that 50% mark, you can use threshold abilities. Threshold abilities usually do more damage than basic abilities, and they're just better than basic abilities because you have to have that 50% adrenaline before you can use them. Ultimate abilities cost 100% adrenaline, and they usually do a lot more damage than basics and thresholds because they require that 100% cap. So you can do a lot more things with the ability system now than you could back then when you only have auto attacks, and mixing up abilities and using them in the right order can result in more DPS. So now that we know about the ability bar, we can go on to talk about how we use the ability bar. So there's three settings that you can use basically. There is a manual setting where you just go ahead and click on each ability when you want to use them, and abilities won't activate unless you click on them. But normally people don't want to use that much brain power or whatever, you're not used to it. So you can go on to Revolution. Revolution, basically you set up all your abilities on the bar and it will cycle through them for you. So you don't have to click on any of the abilities. They will just cycle through for you, and you don't have, it's basically like how you used to do it. You just click on your opponent and it will use abilities for you. Threshold abilities and ultimate abilities will not be used by Revolution, so whenever you hit that 50% mark or whenever you hit that 100% mark, you will have to manually click those abilities. There's no getting around that. And thirdly, unless you want to do PvP, or I don't know, if you just really hate the ability system, I wouldn't advise using this, but it's legacy mode. Basically, legacy mode is what you guys are normally used to. There's no abilities. It'll change your whole interface, take out all the abilities, and just use basic auto attacks. But I think if you really want to get back into the game, you should just start off by using Revolution and just throw yourself into it, because there's no use using legacy unless you're going to PvP. So let's move on to minigames. Basically, minigames are dead with the exception of pest control. So you know all those minigames you used to play, Soul Wars, Castle Wars, all those things, not a lot of people do them just because the rewards aren't worth it for them anymore. So you'll see a lot of them. It's going to be hard to find a game. The new way to play minigames is through the minigame Spotlight, which basically every so often there's a new minigame on Spotlight and you can gain extra Thaler while playing that minigame. And Thaler is a new currency used at the minigame Spotlight Redemption Center place. I'll put it up on the screen someplace. And basically you can buy all of the rewards from all the minigames using Thaler now. So you just have to find out which minigame is on Spotlight using the quest interface, and then go to that minigame to get the Thaler, and if you need rewards from any of the new minigames. Weapon and armor tiers. So basically, weapon and armor, they always had tiers before, but now it's more prominent. So basically, the higher the weapon tier or the higher the armor tier, the better it's going to be for you. You can check this out just by hovering over any equipment that you have, and you can check out the tier, how much damage it does, you know, any more strength bonuses that it gives you. And basically, you can use that to see which weapon I should be using right now, which armor should I be using, which one's better for me. So before, when we just used to use whip all day, the whip was the best. You know, check out the tiers before you do them. Usually God Sword is like the mid-level weapon now for everyone that they like to use. Also, you can now dual wield weapons using the offhand variant of any weapon. So, you know, we have a dragon longsword and we have an offhand dragon longsword, and you can use two in one hand. You don't have to use a shield anymore, and using the offhand variant of a weapon can result in more DPS. In respects to armor, if you are using a ranged weapon, you would want to use a ranged type of armor, like a ranged gear. If you're using magic, use a magic gear. If you're using melee, then use melee gear. Otherwise, you need to use hybrid gear like Void or War Priest, which will count for all three types of gear. Account security. So basically, there's a new and very good way to secure your account now, which is called the Runescape Authenticator. Basically, you register with your email and you use your smartphone to generate a code that you need to use before you can log into your account. So the only way that anyone can actually log onto your account is if they have your email or if they have your phone, which has the ability to generate the code. So I would highly advise setting up that Authenticator account just to make sure that your account is protected at all times. Do not put your username and password into sites that look like RuneScape but do not have the official RuneScape URL. Basically, any link that takes you directly to a login page, I wouldn't fuck with that. It's just really sketchy because people can create the exact same account or not the exact same layout as RuneScape, and they'll just steal your account because it's basically you're not logging into RuneScape. So be very wary of links that you click on because it's an easy way to get your account stolen if you're not careful. RuneScape streams that do not come from the official RuneScape Twitch account are totally bogus. If they offer double XP, if they give you links to anywhere, just don't mess with it because they're just fake people trying to get your account. I hate having to mention this, but I guess people get scammed by this a lot. So if you see any of those fake streams out there, if it seems fishy to you, don't mess with it. Alright, let's move on to goals to strive for. So what should you be doing now? Basically, the main goal that everyone's going to tell you is to try and unlock Elf City. It is a high-level city accessible after the Plague's End quest, where it'll just open up a bunch of new skilling methods, and as you go through the quest and try to get those levels to access it, because it's a pretty high-level quest, you will be able to learn more about the game, and it's just a great thing to unlock for any high-level content that you want. It offers a lodestone right next to a bank in GE, and it is basically the quintessential thing to unlock if you want to become a high-level player. Tier 80 weapons are basically the good mid-level weapon to have if you're looking to get into any combat or bossing and slayer in RuneScape. So the Tier 80 weapons are the Royal Crossbow, the chaotic weaponry available from Dungeoneering, and having access to these are really going to help you in getting into, soloing God Wars, going to QBD, and making those long trips that'll make you a lot of money. Lastly, what I have here is something everyone's going to tell you, like no matter who you ask, how do I get money? Go ahead and just do Slayer. It's just a great way to learn the combat system, and I think it's a great way if you can't do bossing, you don't have the gear to do bossing, you just go ahead and go to Slayer Master, get some basic Slayer gear, and just go slaying, and you can just make a lot of your base cash stack from that, and move on to higher things after you learn the combat system and after you get more comfortable with it. So progression of things to get, if you have like a starting cash stack and you're a fairly higher level player and you want to know what should I do with these, basically, in my opinion, a lot of people might disagree with this, but tier 90s are greater than overloads, are greater than turmoil, are greater than soul split. So if you have to spend your money, I would suggest spending it in that way. Get your tier 90s before you get your Herblower up, before you get your turmoil up, before you get soul split, and you should be set. Lastly, what I'm going to suggest here is to join a clan. I think it's a great way to interact with more people in RuneScape because, sometimes we can't talk in game or we can't talk to the people around you. So you can always join a clan and, have a good conversation, interact with more people. And if you ever have questions, you can always ask the people in your clan. Places to get more information. I would suggest the number one place to get any information on RuneScape, anything that you need to know, I would go to the RuneScape wiki first. It has a bunch of information. All you have to do is type anything you need. Like say I need to know more about the dark bow. I'll type in dark bow, click on the wiki link, and it'll just give me a rundown of everything that has to do with the dark bow. Great useful links at the bottom, and I think it's very underutilized and people don't really think about it a lot, but just quick Google search, go to RuneScape wiki, and you should be okay. Another great place is YouTube. If you want to have like any guides, like quick 1 to 99 herblore guide or a quick agility guide, what's the best way to gain agility at my level, type it into YouTube. You know, there's a bunch of cool YouTubers out there. They make great guides, great content, and if you don't want to read a bunch of stuff, it's great. You can just watch a video. Now, lastly, I would recommend Reddit, but I wouldn't recommend Reddit before you go to the wiki or before you go to YouTube, just because, you know, a lot of people might not answer your question or you'll get a lot of biased opinions. But yeah, if you really have a question that cannot be answered by the wiki, YouTube, or in your clan, go ahead and post stuff on Reddit. People are more than willing to help all this great community. So there you have it, guys. That is my basic returning player guide for RuneScape 3. If you guys have any questions, you guys can definitely add me in game. This was not meant to be a end-all be-all guide for returning players. It's just, I see a lot of these returning player posts on Reddit. Like every day, I'm returning. What should I do, guys? What should I do? And there is a link at the side of the Reddit, whatever bar thing. But who's gonna look at that? Like, how would I know to look at that? And then people have to link me to that. So I figured I'd make a video to share what I think are just the bare essentials, things that you want to know, that you need to know before getting started or when you're first getting started. And then from there you can build on your own information. You know, you can go out and learn more stuff yourself. But this is a great foundation, and I hope this will create a good jumping off point for you guys to get back into the game. So any people that you think will benefit from this guide, you know, go ahead and link them to that. And you know, you can always subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos. My name is Elastic Love, and I'll see you guys next time.